Thanks, Eric. I'll do that. So this is where the lawyer sidekick steps in. Just a little bit of background. What's important about the Supreme Court case Olmstead is that this is a case about how the ADA applies to federal money spent in Alabama. That's really the gist of it. And where we are right now is that the Olmstead case said that for any federal spending, for any program, any public program, then that program has to support individuals to be able to live in the most integrated setting appropriate to their needs. Let me give you a concrete example of what this means in the lives of many people who we may know and work with, who we care about, and who are strong self-advocates. So Olmstead applies to every single home and community-based services, every Hcbs waiver in the state of Alabama. It applies to all 5,260 ID waivers, all E&D waivers, every waiver, and those of you who follow this know that there are about 17 or 18,000 total waivers in the state of Alabama. This is just one example. I'm mentioning it because many of you may also have heard about, or you may be dealing with in your individual and personal or professional lives, what's known as the Hcbs transition rule, which relates to a lot of guidance that's coming out from the federal government telling states what they must do by March of 2022 to make sure that spending on every one of these waivers is in compliance with Olmstead. In other words, is being spent in a manner to support and facilitate the outcome of the most integrated setting. Trying to connect some of the dots here and some things that you may be hearing about, but you may be wondering, why do we have to do this? Why are we doing it? Why is all of this going on? Olmstead applies much more broadly, but that's the way in which it applies in a very direct way, I think, for probably almost every person attending this conference as a self-advocate, as a professional, as someone who may be supporting a family member or another person to try to gain employment. I mean, that's what the conference is all about. So to close the point, for example, specifically, employment supports and services is a particular identified service that is available through the ID waiver and many other waivers in the state of Alabama. Olmstead says that employment support should be delivered to an eligible individual in the most integrated setting. These dots are connected. This is a way in which we fit into the broader theme of Eric's presentation, access into the community. I hope that's helpful.
Do we need to go into qualifying disability or any of that?
Bottom line, qualifying disability in Alabama. Alabama is one of 3 states, along with Georgia and Florida, where the bottom line is a person has a qualifying disability if the federal courts say that the disability qualifies under the ADA. So most anyone who has obtained an ID waiver would qualify. Most anyone who is receiving a Social Security disability benefit would qualify. There are some peripheral questions about who's eligible, and if you ever had a question, please feel free to contact us.
Go ahead and go on to the next slide.
Yeah, that's kind of the gist.